let's talk about CELPIP Reading Part 2. So in this video, I will be talking about all the very basics of reading part 2, like what all you'll be expecting to get in this part, and at the same time I will be sharing tips and tricks to deal with it nicely, because I have seen many of the students, they are struggling with part 2. They do not understand how to deal with it. Like there is a diagram, so much information is there, at the same time they have the questions, and when they just try to correlate the information, they find extreme difficulty to maintain this relation between diagram and the questions. Okay, so let's see how I can do it. So reading part 2, that's reading to apply a diagram. So as the title suggests, you will be expecting to get a diagram. And what kind of diagram you will be getting? You will not be getting any kind of table, any kind of pie chart, line chart or something. That is a diagram, that is a kind of brochure, a brochure or a leaflet that you generally will be getting in the newspapers. If you receive a printed version of newspapers every morning, so you must have got a few leaflets or brochures in that. Okay, so these are a kind of these brochures wherein that information is given of a particular company, of a particular services. Let's say you want to join some dance classes, so you are looking at the leaflet of dance classes, and they'll be explaining what kind of services they are offering, what are the timings of different batches, and then might be they are talking about the charges also. It can be something about a bakery shop, what kind of cupcakes and cakes they are offering, and other kind of services such as kitty parties and all. So these kind of diagrams you will be getting in reading part 2. Okay, now on the basis of that diagram you will be getting 8 questions, and in order to answer these 8 questions you are allocated 9 minutes. So 9 minutes and 8 questions. So as a general you will be having 1 minute for each question. However, now these 8 questions, they are further subdivided into 2 parts. You will be having like 1 to 5 questions, then you will be having questions 6 to 8. These 1 to 5 questions are based on the diagram, whatever the diagram you will be getting, any diagram, and how does it appear on the screen. So this is, let's say, your screen. Left hand side, your screen is divided into 2 parts, and that is a vertical division is there. Left hand side you will be having a diagram, you can scroll up and down here, and right hand side first you will be having these questions 1 to 5, and these 1 to 5 questions are in the format of an email. So every time it is in the format of an email, someone is writing to the other person. Okay, and then a subject is also given, subject like why this email is written. And then after that, in the same right hand side you will be having 3 questions 6 to 8. Okay, now what happens, these 1 to 5 questions that are in the form of an email, they are always based on this diagram. However, these 6 to 8 questions, okay, so these 3 questions 6, 7 and 8, they are based on that email. So these questions, you will be getting the answer of these questions from this email 1 to 5, and the answers of these questions would be from the diagram. Okay, so this is how it happens. And what kind of email is this? Again we come to the point, let's say you have got the same dance classes pamphlet over here. So dance classes, by looking at the diagram, now you and your brother, you both are discussing about dance classes. Okay, we were planning to join some dance classes. Why? Because it is my best friend's wedding is coming, so I thought of joining some dance classes. So they are talking about different possibilities. So this diagram will not be having your name and your brother's name. These are given in this email. However, this diagram is a general one. By looking at this, you both are discussing. So make sure never try to find out the name of sender and receiver in this diagram. It will never be there. Okay, so I hope this much is clear. So this is the very basic of this, like what all you will be expecting in part 2. And now I'll be talking about the tips and tricks and how you need to deal with this part. Okay, so the first thing is, whenever you get this part, what you have to do, you just have to look at the diagram first and only check the headings. So whenever you have the diagram, make sure you do not read each and everything in diagram. What happens if you are checking that information? That's okay. It might sound good enough to you that you have read the entire diagram, but what happens as soon as you reach to the question part, you are reading the question, at the time of that you will forget whatever you have read. Only the titles or the major information will be there in your mind, and the minute information you will forget. So the best part is read only the headings, like check the titles only, okay, what are the different sort of information there, and then move to the question part. And as soon as you move to the question part, what you're supposed to do, you just have to check the name of receiver and sender of that particular email, and do not forget to check the subject of that email, because that subject of email and title of your diagram will give you a fair enough idea that why this email is being written, and that will again help you to answer the questions. Sometimes the first question of this part is related to the subject of that email or the title of this diagram. So make sure you read the title of the diagram and subject very carefully. You might get the first question answer from there only. Another thing is that once you start reading, make sure you read the complete sentence before selecting any answer. And when I say the complete sentence, means you have to read from full stop till full stop. Another thing, the students, when they read these questions, a common mistake is they start reading. Let's say this is a blank here, right? So what they'll be doing, they'll start reading from here and till here they'll read. Then they open that window for options, they check that options, then they just try to fill it up here and then they read further, or otherwise they don't read beyond that. So what mistake you will be doing, let's say here this is a blank and this keyword is going to help you for this answer. If you are not reading the complete sentence, you will not be able to make the connection in that entire sentence. Whatever that information is, that entire sentence will be a meaningful thing. Okay, so make sure you read the entire sentence first from full stop to full stop, then you open up that option window and then just try to fill in that option. What do you think is the correct answer? Another thing is that find out the keyword in the question which will help you to choose an answer. So finding that appropriate keyword is the most important and trickiest part. If you are at the appropriate keyword, it means you will be finding out the correct answer very soon without wasting your precious time. So finding out the keyword requires a little effort and practice, but make sure you just find it out nicely. So once you are reading the sentence, something that is highlighting the requirement of the sentence or why this sentence is written, that keyword will always correlate to the answer. How it is, that we will discuss over here. Okay, another thing is that check the specific information in the diagram. So once you are reading the questions, question number 1 to 5, and you think I'm not able to answer it by myself, because many questions in this part are based on your common sense, on your understanding, your assumption, your inference, whatever you can understand. Okay, so majority of the questions are based on your common sense, do not depend completely on diagram. This is a very common mistake majority of the students make. Once they read the question, they think they will be getting the answer from the diagram. They keep searching the diagram, they keep scanning it again and again, then they feel disappointed. Why? Because they do not get the relevant information over there. So you are not getting that relevant information in the diagram. Why? It is actually not there. Okay, you need to answer it from your common sense, from your assumption skills, from your inference skills. You need to understand the meaning and then answer. So this is the best thing you always have to keep in mind. Okay, so use that and only find out the specific information in the diagram. Don't keep reading the diagram again and again. It's just going to waste your time, nothing else. Now, so that was the appropriate method of doing it. Now these are the things that will help you to improve. The very first is, not all the questions are related to the diagram. Some questions can be answered using common sense. So this is a very common thing and a very important thing. In fact, I would say that don't depend on diagram completely. Out of 8 questions, generally 2-3 questions are depend on diagram, and all the rest of the questions are just based on your understanding of the language. Let's say if I take this example, this question, I want Miss Dash as I'm going there in winters. So I'm going somewhere, okay, and I'm going somewhere in winters, okay. So these are 4 options: restaurant, room service, third is swimming pool, and fourth is internet. Now you don't have the diagram with you, but you have this question statement and you have these options. And if I ask you to fill that answer without checking the diagram, do you think you can do? Okay, so the question says, I want Miss Dash as I'm going there in winters. So now you need to correlate here winters to the options, and you need to check what is something, which facility is there that I won't be requiring in winter. So the first is restaurant. You need restaurant in winter? Yes, of course. Okay, so I need it in winter, so that will not be the correct answer. It is eliminated. Second is room service. Yes, that's also needed in winters. Eliminated. Swimming pool. No, we don't require, because most of the time we don't require a swimming pool. If it is a hot water, that is a different case. Generally I won't miss it. Okay, so that will be the correct answer. And again the same, internet. So here now these information is relatable, winters and swimming pool. This is how you need to understand. Don't search these kind of questions in the diagram, because you will never get it there. Again, you will not get these kind of questions in the diagram, so don't search it there, just try to use it by your own. So now the answer would be like, I won't miss swimming pool as I'm going there in winters. So this is what generally happens in these kind of questions. Like in reading part 2, many of the questions are like this. You just have to figure it out, the appropriate keyword, and then you can answer it without wasting your time, and then accurately. Another thing is that eliminate the wrong options. So the very first strategy you have it, finding out for your answers. You read the question and then you find the correct answer. You find the correct answer and you get it. Now another thing is, I have read the question, I am finding out the correct answer. Now the struggle I am facing is, I have read all the 4 options and nothing seems to be the relatable one. So here I am in dilemma. Here I am in confusion. What to do? At this type of situation, this elimination will help me. So elimination means keep cancelling the wrong options. So instead of finding out the correct answer, now what I will be doing is, I will keep cancelling the wrong answers. So I have cancelled the first one. Why? Because that is wrong. I have cancelled the second one. Why? Because it is wrong. Third one isn't wrong, so I just left it like this. The fourth is also wrong. So now what is happening? First, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. All 3 are absolutely wrong. This one is not wrong. So I will select this as a correct answer. Why? Because all 3 are wrong. So which one is not wrong is correct answer. That is called the theory of elimination, and this thing again will help you to choose the correct answer in part 2. Clear? Another thing is that once you are reading that question email, make sure you focus specially on but and unfortunately, because sometimes what happens is, they'll give you some information, all of a sudden somewhere they will give you but and unfortunately in the middle of the sentence, then they keep on extending that sentence. So whatever is there now after but or unfortunately, so if but is going to connect 2 sentences or 2 phrases, it means both of these would be contrasting or contradictory to each other. So if something is there and something else is not there, it means. So make sure you focus on it nicely and then find out the relatable information in the diagram and answer. Another thing is that if keywords are related to diagram, if you think there is something given in the diagram and that keyword is related to diagram, like kind of services, as I've discussed about dance classes. So let's say different kind of dance activities or dance types are there. So what I'll be doing, I'll be going to the diagram and checking that specific information. Another thing is that sometime you get question number 6 and this question number 6 is related to the relation. Relation means what is the relation between these 2 people. These 2 people means the people who is sender and receiver of that question email of this question number 1 to 5. So that relation, how do you find out the relation? Make sure the relation is always and always depend on the opening line of the email. how they start this email will always help you to find out this relation. Let's say I start my email like this: nice meeting you today, it was pleasure meeting you today. So nice meeting you today, pleasure meeting you today means, what is the relation between these two people? They are not old friends, they are not family members, because nice meeting you today is a kind of sentence that you will always speak to the person, or you always convey to anybody whom you are meeting for the very first time. So nice meeting you today means you are meeting that person very first time, and accordingly you just have to choose that answer. Might be they are new neighbors, new friends, new classmates, but yes, they are new and they are meeting for the very first time. Okay, so that relation questions are always based on this opening line of that email. And another thing is that whenever you are reading that options to find out the correct answer, so you have to keep in mind what generally happens is, whatever the questions has the direct keyword, these are generally illusion. Direct keyword containing options are wrong. So what happens is, the correct answer is generally modified. You get the same information, but that information is modified, it rephrased in a different way, and the direct keywords are always confusing if you are picking it up just by reading the one word in that entire option sentence. So it means you are making a mistake. Once you read that information, once you read that option, make sure you read that complete option, understand it nicely, and then answer it accordingly. Don't be in hurry, don't read half option and then answer. Okay, so this is also generally happen in this type of passage. So part 2 otherwise is easy if you keep practicing. By the way, I taught you today, this is how you can follow part 2. Trust me, it is very easy, and these 8 questions, instead of completing in 9 minutes, you can easily answer in 6 to 7 minutes if you know the right strategy of doing it. So you can do it without wasting much time, but yes, it requires a lot of practice that you can do. Okay, so I hope this part 2 is clear to you. If you still have any confusion, if you still have any doubt, you can write it down there in the comment section. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button and share it among your friends. So keep learning with me. All the best.